I'm CJ, and this is my spoiler and theory-filled review of Star Wars: Force Awakens. Um, if you haven't seen my spoiler-free review, go ahead and watch it. I'm gonna warn you right now; it's 20 minutes long, and only about 5 minutes of it is an actual review of the movie. I apologize for that. I'll try not to get too off topic with this review because there actually is a lot that I want to say here because, like I said, it's going to include spoilers and my theories on it. If you haven't seen it yet, seriously, don't watch this review. You don't want to know what happens unless, you're never planning on seeing it. Then I guess, watch the review. But, don't blame me for spoilers because this is the spoiler-filled review. All right, so basically, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. No, I really loved the movie. I'm going to say that right now. It was amazing. Yeah, no. It really was. It was a great movie. Now, a lot of people have said, it's just basically the same as, episodes 4, 5, and 6, and, they've said, oh, it's not a good standalone movie, blah, blah, blah. It sets it up for the next movie, and honestly, it does a bit, but, not in a bad way at all, And it does play off of the same themes as 4, 5, and 6, but, in an original way. It really does. So, basically, in the movie, I'm going to give away the first big spoiler. Han Solo dies. All right. Now, that spoiler was given away before the movie even came out. My brother-in-law told me about it. I went to see it with him on Thursday when it first came out. And, he was like, hey, do you want to know the spoiler? And I'm like, no, not yet. And, afterwards he told me, yeah, the spoiler was that, Han Solo dies. I'm like, that's a spoiler? I'm honestly surprised at how upset people have gotten over that being spoiled for them. Only because Harrison Ford didn't want to do Star Wars. He didn't want to do the new Star Wars. The only reason why he ended up doing it was so that he could do Indiana Jones. That's literally it, and he only agreed to do one movie. So, the options for what to do with Han Solo in this movie are pretty limited, so yeah, of course they killed him off. That's the only way to really ensure that Harrison Ford doesn't have to come back in episodes 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 57, 92, 48, but, it's really the only way to, ensure that, Harrison Ford is happy with it, so, yeah, of course they killed him off. I wasn't surprised by that at all. Now when the scene happened, I was hoping that he wasn't going to die, of course, and everything.
I cried.
But, yeah, my wife cried. What happens in it, is Kylo Ren, who's been Solo, ends up killing Han, using his lightsaber, cuts him right through the gut, and then, Han falls down basically in this pit and gets blown up afterwards. That's what happens. It's really a very sad scene. What happened, before, he ended up killing him, I knew he was going to kill him. I knew that exactly that was going to happen. But I was still hoping that it wasn't going to happen. There was a part of me that was like, no, he's not going to die. He's going to be okay. But, yeah, of course,
I know you had
he
thought
did.
it the day before.
Well, no, I'm saying when I first saw it, I knew it was going to happen. There was no question in my mind that, he was going to die. And when the scene came up, there was no question in my mind that he was going to die there. But, still, I was like, no, he can't. But, yeah. Then, like I said, I'm just surprised how, upset people got about that being spoiled. Because, I could have been told that before it happened, before I saw it, and I would have been like, okay, yeah, of course he does. I mean, Harrison Ford doesn't want to be Han Solo anymore. So, yes, I'm sure that Harrison Ford himself saw to Han Solo being killed. and people got upset about that. Had it have been spoiled for me how he died, I would have been upset by that. But all that was really spoiled on the internet before the movie came out was Han Solo dies, which, no kidding. I'm also gonna bet that, C-3PO and R2-D2 will be in it, and the Millennium Falcon too, and Chewbacca, and it's gonna have space, and there'll be planets that, we haven't heard of before with new names, and TIE fighters are gonna fly around and try and blow people up,
and somebody says, "May the Force be with you."
Yeah, and it'll probably open with, Star Wars, Episode 7, The Force Awakens, right after, you see a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. And, yeah, I mean, none of that to me is really a spoiler, of course that's going to happen. If if none of that happened, I would have been surprised. But all that happened. Han Solo died. Of course. But yeah. So, anyways, back to the movie itself. So in it, basically, what happens is it focuses around the girl Rey, and this guy Finn. Now, Finn, he's a former First Order stormtrooper. First Order is basically the Empire after the Empire. Empire fell, and the First Order rose up, which, makes sense. After the Emperor died, I didn't really see there being an Empire. In the expanded universe, the Empire tried to survive. There was the Emperor's son, and there were the mystics, and there was generals that were in the Empire that rose up to higher ranks, and blah blah blah. And they all kind of contributed to keeping power within the Empire. But it's like after the Emperor himself died, in all reality, I don't see the Empire continuing because even the Empire loyalists didn't want the Empire. And if you watch the special edition of Episode 6, at the end you see Coruscant, and the people on Coruscant pull down the statue of the Emperor. Now, Coruscant would have been the most, Empire loyal planet of all. In all the expanded universe stuff, it was, and in all of the current, canon, it still is. And the fact that they pulled down the statue of the Emperor, literally right after he died, indicates to me that, there's no way the Empire would have been able to survive after that, and yes, that is in the special edition. Yeah, I know, special edition, George Lucas went back, changed things, I don't like, some of the changes, but, honestly, I've gotten over it, after, really thinking about it, like, the changes they did were the right changes, and I know that's not a popular opinion. I'm a horrible person. I've probably now got a bounty on me higher than Han Solo, thanks to, all of the Star Wars fanboys out there, because I said George Lucas did the right thing by changing them for the special edition. But, he really did, I mean, he wanted to do the things that he did, and he went back later and did the things that he wanted to that he couldn't do. Big fucking deal. I mean, people complain, the number one thing that people complain about is Han, not shooting first. Greedo shooting at Han. Which, with that, I agree that is bullshit. Because in the original version...
Han shot first.
Not only did Han shoot first, Han was the only one to shoot. Greedo had his gun out, Han shot Greedo in the head. Bam. Done. Simple. Plain. And that was the right thing. That was the right thing for Han to do, because that was who Han was. Han was a scumbag. Period. Plain and simple. Before he got involved in the rebellion, Han was a scumbag. He was transporting spices illegally for the Hutt cartel. Basically, what that equates to as far as, normal, humans on Earth, Han was taking coke from Mexico and driving it up to the U.S. for the cartels down in Mexico. Alright? That was his job. That's what he did. I don't know. He ended up getting out of it. He ended up becoming a great guy, but that's who he was. That's his past, And him shooting Greedo square in the head without Greedo firing off a shot was part of who he was. I don't know. George Lucas changing that is the one big change that I disagree with. I have a problem with the Jabba the Hutt scene simply because it slows it down. George Lucas filmed the scene back in '77, and Jabba just looked like a piece of shit, so he pulled it out. And then later on he went back with CGI, enhanced Jabba, and that's why Harrison Ford looks like he did back in '77, because that literally is '77 Harrison Ford that you see on screen in that added scene from '99. Because it was filmed back then. He wanted to do it back then. He, ended up cutting it and changed up the Greedo scene so that way he didn't need that scene. And that was the problem. He changed the Greedo scene so that way the movie fit without the Jabba the Hutt scene. And then he added the Jabba the Hutt scene in without changing the Greedo scene back, which, gave us the same information twice and, was pointless. I didn't like that. I thought that, Lucas should have actually have... Sorry, slight interruption. But anyways, Lucas should have re-edited, the entire Greedo scene in order to accommodate for the Jabba the Hutt scene. I didn't like that he didn't do that, but whatever. Now, if you're a special effects guy on the original and you want to complain about Lucas's changes, I get that. Because Lucas basically just, took a shit on all the hard work that you did, making the original film look so good. But, aside from, people who worked in special effects and the Han Greedo scene, the changes that he did were good changes. People like to complain about, Hayden Christensen being the ghost in Empire for Vader, but Hayden Christensen was Anakin Skywalker. What's his face? The guy who wore the Vader suit was Darth Vader. When Anakin Skywalker ascended to that level of being able to come back as a ghost, he didn't do that as Darth Vader. Darth Vader was a Sith Lord. He never in a million years would have been able to do that. Anakin Skywalker would have been able to. So he would have come back as Anakin Skywalker, not Darth Vader. And that's exactly what George Lucas did. That's exactly the reason why he did that change, because Anakin Skywalker came back, not Darth Vader. And that was the right change to make. Honestly, all the changes they made, I agree with, except for the Han Solo scene, and that was just because George Lucas became sentimental, as he grew older and was like, I don't want to have my main guy be a total scumbag, but he was at that time, and that's part of what makes Han Solo so great is that he went from being a scumbag, he went from being a drug dealer to being a hero of the rebellion. We get to see that change throughout the Star Wars films, and it's great to see. That's what makes Han Solo such a lovable character. But yeah, Lucas honestly dropped the ball with that. But anyways, back to episode 7, and I apologize about getting derailed, but hey, at least I got derailed by Star Wars, not by Microsoft phones. Alright, but yeah, so basically what happens in the movie is this girl Rey, she's on Finn first. Finn, First Order Stormtrooper, which is First Order is the new Empire, basically. And Finn is a First Order Stormtrooper. Now, I'm starting with that because I have a theory about that. And that's that the First Order Stormtroopers are all actually Force-sensitive children. And it makes sense because of the way that works. The First Order kidnaps children, turns them into Stormtroopers from a very young age. Which is literally the same thing that the Jedi do. Or that the Jedi did back during the Republic. They would, not necessarily kidnap children. They'd take them away from their families and everything, but with permission. If the family didn't want it, then, theoretically they could say, hey, no, but that really never happened, and, I mean, I don't know, maybe families couldn't really say no to their children getting taken away. I don't really know exactly how it works in the new canon, because it's the new canon. But anyways, it's the same basic way that works with Jedi. They take them from a very young age, and they raised them as stormtroopers. So that they were emotionless and everything. And the idea that he's force sensitive actually does make sense, because at the end of the movie, he ends up fighting Kylo Ren. He gets into a lightsaber fight with Kylo Ren while Rey is knocked out. And he actually ends up hitting Kylo Ren. He gets a hit-in. He ends up getting his ass kicked by Kylo Ren, of course, but he does get a hit-in, and he holds his own for a while. There's no way that a normal human, or normal humanoid, if he's not necessarily human, I don't know if he is. He looks human, but it's a galaxy far, far away. He could be some species that looks human. But there's no way that any species really would have been able to hold their own against a Sith. And while Kylo Ren isn't a Grand Sith Lord, he is very well trained. There's no way he would have been able to hold his own without being force sensitive. Even for the 30 seconds that he held his own, and even with the one hit that he got in, there's no way he would have been able to do that without being force sensitive. So, my idea behind that is that all of the First Order Stormtroopers are actually the Force-sensitive children. They've just been kidnapped, and instead of being trained in ways of the Force, they've been trained in having no emotions, following orders no matter what. If they have any emotions, it's anger only. Which makes sense for the First Order. And then there, so he's First Order Stormtrooper. And he ends up escaping the First Order, fighting with the Resistance. And then there's Rey. And, everybody's theory with Rey is she's Luke's daughter, which, I have to agree with that. She is more than likely Luke's daughter. There was one argument that I heard that, she could have been Obi-Wan's daughter. Because Obi-Wan and the Queen of Mandalore, Queen of Mandalore, had a thing together, for a while. And, Obi-Wan even admits to having a thing for her and, it getting a bit too far, and that he would have left the Jedi Order if she had asked him. So people have speculated that, that means that he has a child. But, the thing is, if he did, she would not be that young. She would be older than Luke and Leia, because the thing that they had was back when Obi-Wan was still in training under Qui-Gon. So, years before Episode 1 even. So she'd be, about the same age as Anakin, if not older. And that's, if they actually, had intercourse and had a child and all that, which, theoretically possible, but no way could it be Rey. But I heard that argument, online that, it's Obi-Wan's kid, but there's no way whatsoever. Luke's kid, I personally do agree with that. She probably is Luke's kid. She has, what is the name of the ability? It's a real special force-sensitive ability where you can touch objects and see things from them. Clearly she has that. It happened when she grabbed, Anakin's lightsaber. I just can't remember the name of it offhand. What's his name? The general from the Clone Wars, Vox. He had that ability as well. She has that ability. It's an incredibly rare ability. But I'd say that odds are she also has a connection with Luke. Now, there was another theory that I read about her, which actually does make sense. That not only is she Luke's kid, but Luke actually trained her along with Ben and the rest of the young Jedis when he was doing training, and that Luke, when he left, he basically used the Force on her mind to make her memories dormant and to make her Force ability dormant as well. And that it wasn't until Kylo Ren started trying to get into her mind to find out what she knew that ability came out. And that actually does make sense, because right after he leaves, she does the whole, you will let me go. You will let me go. You will let me go. Okay, I'll let you go. For mind trick. And she never thought to do that beforehand. She never really thought that she could do it beforehand. And then, bam, right then she was like, I'll give it a try. Now it could just be that, she was like, last ditch effort, hopefully it'll work. But, the idea that, her Force abilities were latent and then Kylo Ren brought them out actually does make sense. I don't know if I necessarily, think that that's what happened there, but it's quite possible. I wouldn't be surprised if it was. Yeah. I know I had something else I want to say, but I just got sidetracked. Oh yeah, Kylo Ren. I want to talk about him too. So Kylo Ren, he's the son of Han and Leia. His real name is Ben Solo, but he became Kylo Ren. He trained under the new Sith Lord as well as under Luke. First off, I'd like to talk a bit about his lightsaber. I still think that design is just the stupidest design ever. If you don't know why, look at my older videos. When the first trailer first came out, the whole cross hilt is just stupid. But the reason, and it's become clear, now, the reason why he did it is as an homage to his grandfather. He wants to be his grandfather, but he's, an idiot kid right now. He wants to be his grandfather, so he made it with the cross hilt, so that way, as an homage to, Vader getting his hand cut off by Dooku back during the Clone Wars and everything. But in all reality, like I said before, that wouldn't help. That wouldn't have helped Anakin at all, because his arm got cut off right here, so unless the hilt is literally this long, it's not doing shit. But yeah, it's as an homage. But I do actually like the lightsaber a bit because of the way it crackles. Now, if you know the old expanded universe, which is now the Legends universe, the crackling comes from a fractured cobalt crystal. But fractured cobalt crystals aren't necessarily canon anymore. My idea behind that fracturing is actually because of the fact that he split the beam into 3 to make the cross hilts. And because of that, the power is being surged through 3 different places, and it's fracturing because of that. I mean, of course, the reason why was, because of his overwhelming anger, blah, 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 and all of that. And that's the, reason for it aesthetically, but, I think that, the practical reason for it is, actually the cross hilt itself, which, in that sense, I like. And the cross hilt actually did come in handy. When he was fighting, who was it? Was it Rey or Finn that he cut? It was Rey, wasn't it?
I think it was Finn. Andrew, was it Rey?
No, it was Finn. Yeah, it was Finn. When he's battling Finn, he brings the lightsaber down, and then he pushes it closer and cuts Finn on his shoulder with the cross hilt. And I like that. That's actually pretty cool. And, if you could turn the cross hilt on and off, that would actually be a really cool thing. Because then he could do that. He could get up close, go down low, get up close, right, to their belly, and then, they're like, okay, I can hold them off. And then he turns it on and, pew, bam, beam right through your gut, you're dead now. That would actually be really cool, but that's not the way it is. It's still a really stupid, dopey setup that just makes no sense whatsoever. But yeah, Kylo Ren, he's trying to follow in his grandfather's footsteps. Honestly, I hope that, in the next movie we'll see Anakin's ghost, knocking some fucking sense into him, because Anakin never wanted to be Vader. He didn't. If he had known the path that he was taking, he would not have been Vader. In fact, in the Clone Wars TV show, he goes to the dark side on when he's on the Force-sensitive planet. Basically, there's an episode saga in Star Wars: The Clone Wars, which is the cartoon series that was on, TNT, Cartoon Network, and Adult Swim. And in it, there's a little saga where Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka, who is Anakin's Padawan, all go to this planet, and there's these three Force Wielders. Force Wielders are basically super mega Jedi gods. For those of you who don't know. Like, they can literally hold the Force. You can come at them with a lightsaber, and they can literally grab the lightsaber hilt, by the lightsaber by its blade, no problem, and force the blade back into the hilt. Like, that's just who they are. And there's three of them. There's the father, and then his son and his daughter. His son is the dark side. His daughter is the light side. And basically what happens in it is the son ends up, the son wants Anakin to go to the dark side, so he can have more power and everything. The father wants Anakin to take over because he's going to die. He knows he's going to die, and he needs somebody to keep his children in balance. And Anakin actually does end up going with the son for a time. The reason why is because the son shows him the future. Like, literally shows him the future. He shows him as Vader. He shows him killing all the Jedi off in the temple when he was Anakin and becoming a Sith. He shows him when he's Vader ruling the Empire, with fear and everything. And Anakin straight up goes over to the dark side because of that. And it's not the dark side that we all know and hate. It's not the Emperor Palpatine, Darth Bane, Tyrannus, Sith Lords, dark side. It's literally the pure raw dark side of the Force. And Anakin goes over to it so that way, he and the son together can wipe out all of the bad shit in the universe, all the criminals, all of the everything. They just will wipe it all out throughout the galaxy, and